Oh, goodness, it's been a long day today. We had that interview with Maggie, and the second one will be tomorrow. One of my viewers asked me to continue with my story about what happened to my husband. I had stopped at May 2016. Um, Sometimes I feel a bit traumatized when, our brains don't realize when we're reliving something in our mind that it isn't actually still happening. So, sometimes it's kind of difficult to go back there. I think it's his suffering um, and watching the decline, and no matter what we tried, nothing worked. So, I found notes today. I was going through some of my stuff. I straightened up my little. See? It's coming along. And while I was straightening out there, I probably just couldn't, you know. He has all of these. He went up to his room in May and just kept working on the computer trying to find answers to his problems. His handwriting. And, the things we tried. All kinds of protocols, natural, bee pollen, fenugreek, Puritan Pride, papaya. I mean, the lists go on and on and on. B12, yeah, I remember trying that with him, and Lugol's iodine. So many things. He looked up the fluoroquinolone poisoning and Cipro poisoning. They're both black box antibiotics, and he got both within a year. And I don't know. I don't know what and to what extent those things may have contributed to his decline. But so in May, I thought he was rallying from everything we were doing, and then in June, his titers from the Epstein-Barr virus, mononucleosis, mono, often called the kissing disease, um, it went up again, and he just seemed to be getting more and more wiped out. He struggled to go do some buying, and he went to the June show with me. He drove his car and I drove mine. He took the Prius. We had a little Toyota Prius, 2015, I think, and we had also a 2013 Toyota Camry, which I drove with a friend, and we were at the show, and he was going to go buying, and I was setting up to sell. He came to me after just, I don't know, 10 minutes. He said, I gotta go home. I don't know if I can drive, and I think I've mentioned this before. I told him to take my friend's daughter, let her drive him home, but he said he was going to try, and he did make it. But then we did one more show. I do believe it was the July Brimfield, and he was able to do one day till 2 o'clock, and that wasn't him. He was stay from the opening to the last hurrah on Sunday when the last person in the field was gone, and then we packed. And at 2 o'clock on the first day, he said, "Pack it up, Nikki. I gotta go home." And he was shaky, and he just, yeah. Want to hear a God thing? So here I am, and I start getting everything ready to pack the car in, and we had a really excellent selling spot right on the street. You know, those are so hard to come by, and Dennis worked for years to get to that one, and guy next door that shared this, we shared the spot. He took half, we took half. And he was a postcard guy. You coming back, Dennis? You coming back? And he says, I don't think I'm coming back. Find somebody else to share the spot. And this gentleman from, I do believe, Africa, come up to us, and he said, Miss, God has told me to talk to you. I said, okay, what is it? And he said that he sold antique wood beads from Africa, and God told him to ask me for my spot. And I said to him, well, you know, the first day's the best day, but this is a really good spot. So I said, I just want, you know. And the neighbor was like, oh, no, this is a good spot. Tell him you want blah, blah, blah. I said, no. I said, look, I prorated it. And I even took some extra off because we had the best day, you know. Though he didn't do very well because he was so sick, and we were leaving, you know, halfway through the show. And the first day, you know, halfway through the first day. And so I said, you know, give us $700 and I'll be happy. You know? And he did, and Dennis took him over to the owner of the field, and he said, I'll do this for you one time, Dennis, but, you know, we don't sell anything new. And then the poor guy was trying to explain to him, these aren't new. You know, these things are like hundreds to thousands of years old, these beads, you know. I hope he got to go back there again. Someday I may go back there, and I'll look at the old spot, see who has it now. But that was a God thing, you know. We recovered part of our money for what we had spent and walked away with a total of $2,000 for the day, and that was it. He went home. He went up to his room, and he stayed in bed for months. I bring up his food, anything he wanted, all his supplements, you know. He just laid there. He stopped sleeping. He couldn't sleep. I thought he was going to lose his mind. It was really frightening. And so I called my son Mike. I said, I'm sending money, come home. Let's try to get Dad to Walt. Walt was in Indiana, and he was our naturopath and a dear friend. Walt was going to try to help him. But Dennis had become so agitated and nervous. Walt said, I don't think it's a good idea for him to travel right now. Do this, this, and this. Dennis wouldn't take anything anymore. No supplements, no anything. Everything I asked and tried, and no. I don't remember if it was just for several months, and if we were able to keep him going to we were taking him for chiropractic, we were taking him for massage. Everything we could do for him. He was starting to get in pain, you know. The chiropractic and the massage was for that. And I wanted him to try that diet. Something with a G. Why can't I remember? GPS. I want to say it wasn't GPS. It was G something. It was a kind of like keto, but with lots of bone broth and no fruit. You know, it was very, very strict. A gut type of diet, and he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do anything anymore. I asked him to. Nothing. So Mike came. Dennis wouldn't be going to see Walt, and Mike's like, what do I do now? I said, listen, would you mind if we packed up a bunch of stuff from here and you bring it down to Florida and put it in storage, because eventually I'm coming down there, and I'd like to get the first truckload down there. And it's a darn good thing I thought of that, because he took a 26-foot truck, loaded, okay, loaded, and he did bring it down there, and all his friends gathered together, God bless them all, and unloaded it in a storage. And I had money, I just took care of everything. And then it would take another 26-foot truck of what was left, and we would move a year later to go down there. Well, more than a year later, actually 2000, almost 2 years, right? So I don't quite remember what happened between July and October, except that they had done some breathing tests, and there definitely was a problem. They had it was this like little room where they could pull all the air out so they could really see what was going on. And I don't know, he was only at 70% on his exhale back then, 2016. And, they wanted to look into, neurological damage. Was it myasthenia gravis? Was it Lou Gehrig's disease? Was it MS? And, kept coming back, no. They wanted to do the electronic nerve test in his hand and in his chest, and sometimes I wish I would have stayed for that. But it was going to take several months to get him in, and I didn't want to wait several months because he was declining so quickly. So in October, I was getting cold. In that old Victorian in Dover, Foxcroft, Maine, it felt like the wind was whipping across your legs. It was that loose a house. It was a very old house, and I did everything to tighten it up. I had gone down the stairs myself, okay? Working in the cold basement, I was laying insulation. The ceiling of the basement was the floor of the living room, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. All that work I did, and it was freezing upstairs. And poor Bonnie, she stayed there that winter, and she said she was freezing to death. She couldn't even go up to her room. She stayed down in the living room, which was also icy cold, and just tried to keep the heaters, running, and using extra electric heaters. It just was a mess. It was a mess. So I says to Dennis, let's get you out of here and let's go down to the kids' house. Michael had a house down in Spring Hill, and I remember that day it was 40 degrees, and Dennis was like, get me in the car quick. He was so hypersensitive. And I got him in and drove away. Poor Bonnie. The hell did she go through that winter with the snow and trying to get to school, She was going to the Dover Foxcroft Academy, and she did good. She did so good. Anyway. So we got down to Florida, and Dennis just went into the, the kids cleaned it thoroughly because he was very fussy, and I had ordered a bed and made sure it was there for him. No, actually, we stayed in a hotel, and then I found the bed, because that was 2016. I would buy the bed, have it delivered. I think we were staying... I slept on the couch, and he had this twin that was there that I sent down. That's right, with Michael, the first time. And the house in Dover Foxcroft was just sitting with all the stuff in it, what was left. And I'm sorry, I just have a hard time remembering. So I went and I bought him a really nice, the one I sleep on now, a really nice, electronic, what do you call it, adjustable bed, and a Stearns and Foster mattress, and a nice cushy 3-inch thermal gel pad on top, because, with fibromyalgia, you hurt. You hurt to the touch. It's a horrible illness. Plus he had the chronic fatigue syndrome on top of what else was going on that we didn't understand. And several times I had to take him to the hospital, and the hospital said, nothing's wrong with you. Remember one doctor took an x-ray, he said, I couldn't fit any more air in your lungs if I tried, he said. Nobody realized that's COPD. He was suffering from not being able to exhale enough out. We didn't know, and I got mad at him. And do you know what I'm going to have to pay for this hospital bill? A lot. I paid it. I'd do anything for him. So that's the end of 2016, and I'm having trouble remember what happened next. Finn is born that February. We stay with Maggie and Mike, and he doesn't want to be inside the house. He says, I want to go riding to get me out of here, and he'd make me drive him all day long. At least he was better. He'd walk a little bit outside. He'd sit outside in a chair, which was an improvement greatly. And then when I'd take him to certain areas, he'd get out and he'd try to walk there too. You could see it. God, you could see it. His color was washing away, and his body was getting smaller, and so Finn was born in February of 2017, and as Maggie explained, I made sure I took really good care of her. Put up a little welcome home baby and mom sign, and it was a big deal for me. It was my first grandchild, and it meant a lot to me that there'd be someone to carry on my husband's name and DNA. It meant so much to him. So we went back home to Maine that May 2017, and I think we got more. I had him tested in Florida, just in his hand. That the neurologist down in Spring Hill, he did not want to. He didn't want to do the one in the chest where they put a needle in, and he says he's so scared and he's so nervous. I don't want to upset him anymore. He said if there was something neurologically wrong, I would have detected it in his thumb, which I read later wasn't necessarily true. But that's what happened. And some of the doctors gave me part of our money back when we go, and I think they knew he was really bad. And so yeah, and I brought him to acupuncturists. I brought him to a naturopath in Tampa. We just kept trying stuff, bringing him to various doctors, and no, nothing. So 2017, what the heck did I do? Put my house up for sale in Dover, Foxcroft, and I wish I could remember the rest of what happened. I guess I wanted to get him out of there for the winter again. I'm trying to remember, was that the year Bonnie graduated? Yeah, I think it was, and she was heading off to college anyway, and we had the Prius. She wasn't going to need it. We didn't allow freshmen to have a car the first year, and we took the car and came down to Florida again and stayed with Mike. Dennis's room was all set up, you know. It was all ready for him. Kids were still in the same house. And I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know. Oh, the people renting it to the boys said, Maggie and Mike rather, said they wanted the house back. So we had to leave. And I rented an Airbnb to start in January of 2018. I was trying to find something we could move into before our house sold, you know, and I did find something. And at that time, Dennis could come with me. He'd actually come into some of the trailers with me. That was in 2017, and then I kept dickering with this agent on mobile homes, and oh gosh, I'm going up there in minutes. He said, finally the owners of this place relented and accepted the $7,000. And then the house sold in Maine. And so that's right. My friend from Maine, oh, well, that's a story for 2018. I'm going to stop here because I've gone over the minutes I usually like to go. It takes me a while to think. I'm awful sorry. And so Maggie has figured out how to use an editing program. And because it takes so long to download anything from my trailer because I use a hotspot, I don't have any internet. But I'm going to have to buy internet for a month because my daughter Bonnie can't do her work without high-speed internet. So I'm going to have to purchase a month of internet for when she comes down here. So then I'll be able to download faster for 2 weeks or a month. So I'm ending it, wherever I ended it. I'll go back through this later. Maggie has we have the second part of Maggie coming up tomorrow, I think about 8 a.m. I'm going to try to put out a morning one as well. Or you know what? Instead of the morning, the usual coffee one, I'll take you yard sailing when we go yard sailing tomorrow. And see some of where we are and what we find. And it should be fun. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. I will get to the end of my story. We're getting closer. And that's the long and short of it. Thank you so much. I want to thank all the women that I know there's a lot of you out there struggling. I know there's a lot of you lost your husbands, or you're taking care of a sick husband or a dying husband, and a lot of you taking care of family members. And I hear you, and I think about you, and I read your comments, and I send out the best vibes that I can. I don't know if prayers are ever heard or not, but I send whatever I can out to whatever's out there for you. And please know that I think of you, and I don't take you for granted. And thank you so much for all the wonderful things you guys say, all of you, Thanks. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.